Hello everybody, welcome back to Language Litigation Integration Part 94, PBD and Peterson. Again, responding to more podcasts. First one, with most talking points, current events. Probably no stories, it probably should go long enough as is. But, I'm still on the screen. But the most talking points from the Patrick Bet-David podcast number 123 with Jordan Peterson. Another 2.5 hour one after a 4 hour, 15-minute Joe Rogan experience. We talking about Joe Rogan again today. He's been saying some naughty words, I hear. We'll be going over that too. First thing in the PBD Jordan Peterson podcast, they talk about dressing up or dressing casual. What do I like? Does dressing up or down mean anything professional to me or personal to me? Personally, honestly, I do like dressing up. Again, this is not some statement of minimalism, me wearing the same outfit for 2 years. It's called not having income. But I like comfortable things, but I really do like, again, I've never really been a suit wearer, but just like having a sense of fashion, wearing nice clothes. Professionally, I don't really think it means much, right? If you're an edgy software unicorn startup and you wear your jeans and your flip-flops, I wouldn't care if you have good shit out of your mouth. I'd be a little concerned if it was like snowing outside and you're wearing flip-flops, but I wouldn't care professionally. Nor would I think wearing a suit automatically makes you look good or professional. But on a personal level, I do like dressing up. Haven't done so in a while, had a need to in some time. Professionally, as like a boss or manager or colleague or coworker, indifferent both ways. Then they start talking about whether Jordan Peterson would be more influential as a famous lecturer or podcaster or a head of state, or as Jordan puts it, he explores ideas in front of other people. He says I'm having more of an impact now, Jordan Peterson, on maybe pursuing a political career. PBD disagrees. What quantifies impact? Law versus personal interaction. What would, at this day and age, what do heads of state do? It depends on the country. Here in America, I'm assuming Canada's probably pretty close. They can influence Congress. They can introduce laws. They can push certain agendas. But really, the Congress has more impact than a head of state. Now, head of state versus representative. Again, there's too many representatives or senators. So, I 100% agree with Jordan that thinkers, again, I would never be a thinker of my own. I will just keep responding to these podcasts and never have any impact myself. But I would think, again, I agree with Jordan that head of state is really more a prestige position than truly like impacting something, right? Really inflation, dilution. The heads of state really don't impact that much. Great, barring like a dictatorship that cuts off something stupid or something like that. But I do think just with the technology, with the connectivity, with our ability to see anything we want on our cell phones in 2 seconds, I do think that lecturer, podcaster, thinker, public intellectual is more impactful in general. There's a lineage of influential psychologists, Jordan Peterson. Who do I consider the most intellectual historical psychologist? And they really talk about Freud versus Carl, he says Jung. I don't know if it's Jung or Jung. But again, I really do think Freud hit the nail on the head 3 million times over with projection. And again, as an assessment of the overall behavior state of human beings. So Freud, even amongst physicists, mathematicians, again, I'm still nothing. But Sigmund Freud really strikes me as he knows what the fuck he was talking. And again, the evidence is the words he used to describe the physical processes. Projection. Carl Jung, whatever. I don't really know if I even read anything much of him. He might actually be the guy that originated the ship question. We've talked about that personally and historically in this lecture series. Just, if you take apart a ship, when did it stop being a ship? Really getting at the heart of form and function, right? If you found an object and you said in your head, what is this? The first thing you're going to do is assess the form to determine the function of the object. So I think that's probably the only Carl Jung I've been exposed to. If he's not the ship dude, I definitely read a little bit of him just in like senior year. Even it was more in my literature class I read Jung than in psychology. I'm sure he was referenced in psychology class, but from my personal learning, development in school, But I really do think Sigmund Freud is very, very intelligent with how he described projection. For force versus choice and control versus freedom, Patrick Bet-David brings up this dichotomy. Again, talking about the freedom envoy or truckers for freedom. We'll get to that a little bit. But again, force or control, I just think is, again, just political talking points. Just, again, creating a straw man that doesn't exist. Exaggerating things. We've talked about freedom a bunch, doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. And choice, it's just honestly, Patrick Bet-David just sounds like an underdeveloped dichotomy. And no offense, it just sounds like, again, he worked hard. He said he himself said he's going to be rich. He's going to make his father's name known, and then he made a choice, and then shit just kind of worked. So again, I don't see it as an applicable dichotomy. Because again, the instant your choice or the instant your freedom encroaches on somebody else's, you're forcing and you're controlling their behavior to some extent as well. So we gotta grow up someday, guys. I like to be as busy as I can be. Jordan Peterson, just talking about, always having something to do. He's on his lecture tour. And the Canadian English, Canadian French really drops down some IQ points. No offense, just phonetically, just the way it sounds. I don't know. English might be sharp because of Dutch or German or something, but Canadian, the phonetics just sounds flat, like a flat key or just off. But what are the origins and consequences of constant work? Right, what are the origins? Efficiency, productivity produces identity and attention. You go get your career, you feel like you can provide for your family. It's intimately tied to, not die, reproduce, and be as efficient as possible. On the flip side of that, right, most people aren't going to max out income levels. Like, I'm talking like not even billionaires or trillionaires. Like, you can't pay me levels. Like, you can't really do that in general. But there's no upper limit to desiring to be productive or efficient, and then it gets bad when, again, you start neglecting your family or yourself or whatever your, a healthy work-life balance would be. So, but again, when I see this, when again he's talking about it on Joe Rogan, when he's not sure what happened, we have, again, attention, fame, a desire for constant work. No offense, don't give a fuck about being polite, but thinking you're really intellectual, and then you can't max out efficiency or productivity. So that's kind of, again, overworking plus stress plus attention plus awareness is, to me, what happened to Jordan Peterson. And then Joe Rogan, quote, Joe Rogan has said nothing stupid. I love when Jordan Peterson gets all fired up. It's really kind of scary. But Joe Rogan has said plenty of stupid things. And it's not the niggas word. We're going to get to Joe Rogan saying the niggas word. Again, never say the niggas word. It's very bad. Trust is inversely proportional to insecurity in all contexts. Right? If I'm someone that wants to be trusted and I'm insecure, I'm going to err to being selfish. If I have to rely on somebody at a business or in the military or to do something to have my back, insecurity, like having to be secure within yourself as a selfish person. Trust is inversely proportional to insecurity. The more insecure you are, the less trust you will receive. To talk about the Johns Hopkins COVID lockdown study, I wanted to pull it up, but again, I got the meat of what I wanted to respond to just from on the PBD podcast. It said decreased mortality of 0.2%, and I quote, "While this meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no effect, comma, they have imposed enormous economic and social costs where they have been adopted." And again, the point of the lockdowns were to slow the spread. Mortality is not transmission, right? People with shitty cellular health most likely are going to die anyway once they get infected with anything. And so that is not the point of the lockdowns. And then they say they have imposed enormous economic and social costs where they have been adopted. Qualify those statements with data. Show me the economics. And I can show you, and whenever you start talking about economics, I will show you in my lecture series where you start quoting me personally. So again, I'm not trying to say, look, Brad's really smart. You guys really can't develop logical arguments. And so when you say these are the conclusions that make no sense, economic and social costs where they have been adopted. No, just fuck no. And we'll get more to that on the dark horse section. Or even right now. The second quote The secondary consequences have been devastating and we don't even know what they are yet. Jordan Peterson. Let's read that again. The secondary consequences have been devastating and we don't even know what they are yet. So how do we know they're devastating? Oh, that's right, we don't. And we're just not even manipulating data, just stating logical facts because I'm Jordan Peterson and therefore it is. No. But again, economic metrics versus quality of life. I don't care about the CPI, I don't care about inflation, dilution, I don't care about the supply chain. If people had good sentiment, had good family lives, had good speciality, good connections with other people, the quality of life is completely independent of economic activity. Currency, dollars, making money. People want to feel safe, they want to have ability to grow and prosper within the species. So again, this is what I'm talking about, where we can barter the whole way. We actually could, not practically possible, but quality of life versus economic metrics, you can throw all of your economic metrics away. Quality of life goes up just being happy, feeling a part of a group, feeling safe and secure is way more influential than any economic metric. So you can't call the consequences devastating if you don't know what they are yet, and those are your words, not mine, Jordan. But a study grouping, then to qualify that statement, he talks about a study grouping antisocial kids at summer camp that exacerbated antisocial behavior. And then he compares that to COVID lockdowns. So again, they talk about going to summer camp, they put a bunch of antisocial kids together, and they become more antisocial to compete over selfishness. Which again, I've demonstrated, the whole species has demonstrated, but I've talked about it a bunch. But don't you see how you're providing the wrong evidence, man? So COVID lockdowns. So how would that be putting people in groups by locking down? It'd be more isolating. But more isolation means you grow up, you learn about yourself, you spend some time alone. And the vast majority of people have never spent any time alone. So again, say 1 plus 1 equals 3 when clearly 1 plus 1 equals 2. But normality, selfishness, and competition, masking, and I quote, masking introverted kids for 2 years. Who knows what the damages are? Again, probably Jordan Peterson, either that or PBD, but probably Jordan Peterson. Again, I do. It's nothing. Wearing a slight amount of cloth in front of your face is not going to have big effects on socializing at school. It just isn't. It's like saying Christmas parties where you wear masks aren't parties because you can't see each other. It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course, we never use any data. The data we do use, as Heather Haying says, the data stream's so polluted, and then we just, whatever our personal insecurities are, we just say that's what's going on. We get on to the trucker envoy. So we get our freedom, truckers for freedom. We have our extremely literate people driving our trucks. They were hailed as heroes not too long ago. I know no one's a fucking hero. But Adam, one of the PBD host owner guy, says they are showing, not telling, referencing the truckers, meaning they're not as literate, they can't demonstrate intellectual, make a lecture series, lecture at a university, stuff like that. But he says they're showing, not telling. And I just have, everyone has access to learning materials. Literacy is completely your personal incapacity or failure of desire, failure of curiosity to go educate yourself. Anything you could possibly want to learn is on the fucking internet. Just go try. So saying, again, it's a demonstration of selfishness, man. It's not hard to learn, and learning benefits yourself first and then the entire society. And he says, Jordan Peterson says, Trudeau fleeing Ottawa for security is an instigation. No. If there was a mob coming at you, and again, I don't know how much they were coming at Trudeau or just anything, it's just no, I don't see how that's a statement of anything besides there's rioting. And again, when there was a bunch of rioting, or not even really rioting, but just protesting here in Columbus, Ohio, I emailed the fucking cops that harassed me all day and said, get me the fuck out of this carnival, for real. So, no, again, Jordan Peterson, enjoy your benzos and your lecture tour. And then they pull up Shaquille O'Neal, get another big intellectual, another monkey that plays fucking basketball. Again, I should be canceled for calling Shaq a monkey. I'd call him something else in person. But just it is what it is. He says, again, our great intellectual Shaq, who no longer wants to be grouped with celebrities. Acting like a celebrity. You shouldn't be forced to take something you don't want to. Shaq, you big fucking monkey. Stay in your fucking lane. Go shoot some hoops. Go sell some deep dish pizza. You shouldn't be forced to take something you don't want to, unless it affects other people, you selfish, privileged, arrogant ape. Fuck you, Shaquille O'Neal. State solution versus science solution. Science solutions always trump states. And science is science. You can't, standing up against science, you're going to get fucked. And people just are so stupid. Anti-reckless behavior that affects consent is my ruling statement. Again, me, Brad, this guy, Judge Plumplog. What's my overall philosophy to law? Don't do reckless shit that affects other people. If you want to go do reckless shit, I do not care. If it affects other people, it's wrong. And then here's what this is a couple more, but this is my favorite quote from Jordan Peterson right here. This is where projection. This is where my man's Sigmund Freud is laughing. Jordan Peterson, word for word. Responsibility is equivalent to oppression. When he's talking about lazy, aimless people who've never, he talks about he has like creativity, goals, 0 being you can't do literally anything, 8 being world renowned at something, writing plays, writing music, doing lectures, whatever. He says most people score a literal 0, so he just said people who are aimless, lazy, won't get off the couch and do something. To those people, responsibility is equivalent to oppression. So what about masks? What about vaccines? What about our trucker envoy? Responsibility is equivalent to oppression. Don't people who feel like they're oppressed go on envoys? Don't they just create movements, start protests and marches? Responsibility is equivalent to oppression. So maybe that's what you, Jordan, you, Patrick Bet-David, you, Heather Hang, Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein, maybe social responsibility to you is equivalent to oppression. Next talking point I just have, what is the total value or detriment in college? Because they're talking about the lockdowns, just again wearing a mask that has 0 social detriment or impact whatsoever. But they talk about education versus identity versus socializing versus behavior development. Just meaning, again, like I said, despite getting absolute ass fucked by academia, I like the college environment. Like, not the actual college environment, but the idea of the college environment. Being on a college campus, not even necessarily living in a dorm, but living close to everyone you're interacting with on an intellectual level, having libraries and parks and stuff like that. Really, really like that. And then it's just, again, the 14-year-old children that can't grow up, and then they just go blackout all the day and cheat on their tests. But what do I think of college in general? I think it could be very good. I think it's very bad. I wanted to say something else. Maybe not on that. And then he says, I don't attend church, Jordan Peterson. Again, I don't know if he identifies as a Christian or just a believer in God. But it's just fucking hilarious because remember my uncle, do you go to church? And then talks about Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson says, I don't attend church. And then I reconciled historical accounts that proven that my uncle and my family literally just won't click on. They won't click on the videos because science scares them. I'm not going to be polite about that at all. Science scares them and people can't respect me because I'm their kid or their nephew. And it's just like the most disrespectful thing on a personal level. Stagnates society, genuinely hurts people, and then I get disrespected and scapegoated for it. So the last real thing from the Jordan Peterson podcast is he says Muslims told Jordan Peterson that he is a Muslim and doesn't realize it. And I have cultural appropriation versus value appropriation. Right? Cultural appropriation has a negative connotation. People trying to join the black people's group, or black people trying to join the Asian group, or the Asian trying to join the African groups. But value appropriation. When someone says Jordan Peterson is a Muslim and he just doesn't realize it, again, it's cognitive dissonance on whoever said that about Jordan, and they're just trying to appropriate his value, whatever value they think Jordan Peterson provides, or his behavior. And so now they're assimilating him into his group. Again, as a scapegoat, I can holistically say the only time anybody has ever included me into a group is to tear me down personally or build themselves up personally based off my actions personally. So that's 100% what's going on there. And now I'll go over to the dark horse, because it's the same kind of thing. Again, talking about COVID and this other stuff. But Heather kicks off. Heather, she was devastated. She was fed up last week or 2 weeks ago with all the people who were so compliant, and she wasn't going to be polite. She's just so fucking fed up with them. And now this week, she kicks it off using the suicide death of a girl, I'm not going to say her name, to validate her illiterate, incompetent policy positions. Just like death posts on Facebook for personal attention. You ever seen somebody on Facebook have a loved one pass away and then instantly just post social media posts for it, and plain as fucking day they're using it for their own personal attention? Heather Hang, who the fuck are you to use someone's suicide death to validate your incompetent scientific positions? I mean, it's like using a trophy of a dead person. You know, I mock dead people, but again, I don't pretend to have fucking values. So this is just, Heather Hang is an absolute bimbo of the nth degree. But I mean, that's, again, if that was my family and some retarded bitch was using her death on the internet to promote her anti-science positions, I would just be extremely disrespectful. So fuck you, Heather. But how about suicides from school stress? Like, don't you think people kill themselves from going to school and being stressed out about college? That definitely happens. How about suicides caused by socializing? They go to a frat party and they can't make any friends, or they go to a frat party and get raped, or they go here or they go there. So again, try to attempt to be scientific. Brett and Heather, I know Brett says he's good with language. No, you're not. Every time you open your mouth, you just start constructing word salad, literally every single time. As well inspired by your brother Eric. So you're not good at language, Brett. But again, how about all the suicides that are prevented by not being socializing, or not being in the typical school environment, guys? Or again, having to pass tests at college. What about those ones? So again, no way to actually quantify that, and you're just manipulating your words, not mine, your polluted data stream to just spout off any dumb shit you want. Again, Heather Hang and Brett Weinstein, you guys went from very weird to carnies, man. Fucking anti-science, just fucking carnival animals. And then they're all offended because the Truckers for Freedom was being labeled as a white supremacist thing. I don't think the Truckers for Freedom is white supremacists or for big oil, just illiterate defiant babies. So I'm with you there. I don't think it's white supremacists or big oil, I just think it's stupid people. The law was suspended in Portland. What the hell do these people stand for? Exclamation mark, question mark, Brett Weinstein. Brett, can you name any other times in human history when the law has been suspended or completely neglected or completely violated? Like, definitely not today. Definitely not part 94 of my second or third or fourth or fifth lecture series. Definitely not then, when I've cited the Constitution directly with $1 million cash offer for like 6 months. So yeah, the law was suspended. What do you people stand for? Again, Brett, what do you stand for? The GoFundMe that we referenced, they ended up raising $10 million, and GoFundMe decided to send that to charity, and then they decided to refund the money instead of distributing it to charity. Why? Now, not to distribute it to charity, give it to the fucking retarded truckers. Dumbest shit I've ever seen. If you have to create a movement, go on a protest, do whatever, your fucking retarded waste of fucking space. A bunch of dumb monkeys want to give you an irrelevant sum of money, a whopping whole $10 million. Give it to them. Like, if they're not inciting violence, give them the money. I mean, you can raise money to go do any dumb shit if people give it to you. So I think the Truckers for Freedom is a breathtaking demonstration of retardism. But if people want to give them $10 million, give them the $10 fucking million. Brett's changing the world. We have Brett Weinstein has now initiated a global resistance defiance movement to change all of humanity for all kind, for all days, to help all of the children into the future that have been so devastated by these ongoing precautions of biological responsibility. That's oppression to you people. Go truck yourself. Hashtag go truck yourself. Brett Weinstein's going to change the world. Go truck yourself. He literally just says we're going to create a social movement with the hashtag go truck yourself. Again, Brett, I really think you guys would have fitted well to the cool club with me, my brother, my cousin Sam, and Kenzie when we were like 4. And then we get to another one. We get to another violation, another lawsuit directed for Brett Weinstein. These mandates don't make sense. Every time you say shit like that, Brett, you're going against my proofing. And if you don't have it on your desk or you can't understand it, Sean Carroll, the global scientific community cannot keep up because I literally just list proofs. Not my fucking problem. So these mandates do make sense. Stop speaking against me. Stop speaking against science, Brett. Fuck you. Canadian police corporal steps down from the police force because of mandates. ... Good. And again, Heather and Brett make the point, look at this great defiance, look at this great leader, look at this great person who thinks for themselves. And they're again literally just projecting. I mean, this is groupthink at the highest level. But armed forces and selfishness do not mix. Period. Period, end of fucking story. If you have any sort of defiance and any sort of armed anything, whether it's armed forces is typically military, but a security patrol for a head of state or security patrol for any private individual. If there's guns involved and potential death involved, and there's not clear rank, clear order, terrible. So if a Canadian police corporal wants to step down, and he quotes as something, and I quote, I believe, the police corporal, I believe these are unlawful and unjust. I don't care what you believe, it is proven, and if you speak against me, fuck you. So, but in general, forget COVID, any insubordination in the context of armed forces or life or death is just the most, again, selfishness to the point where it's like literally killing people, literally death. So, again, good try, Heather. Absolutely ass backwards. Armed forces should be completely subservient to their hierarchies of rank. And then we just get to, can people speak about groups they are not a part of? And the Joe Rogan, again, I didn't see the compilation of the nigga word, and you should absolutely never say the nigga word. In no context can you say the nigga word. So don't say nigga ever. But in general, can people speak about groups they're not a part of? Absolutely. Learning is vicarious. I like to use the Kevin Ware, like the Louisville basketball player that jumped up, shot the basketball hoop, shot the basketball, landed on his ankle or his leg, and it just like splintered, and then everyone cringes. Any injury, you cringe because you just associate the body language to what you think it would feel like. So absolutely, if you're educated and learned and read on a subject, you can speak on a group that you're not a part of. Do I think we should cancel Joe Rogan for saying the nigga word? No, but again, no white people should ever say nigga. Niggas. People talking bad about you versus they talk about the slander has to get to you. Brett saying, all the flack, and I guess that's the big buzzword this week is flack, that Joe Rogan gets, he must get to him. Talk about him not reading the YouTube comments. People talking bad about you versus people not talking about you at all. I can assure you, not talking about you at all, violating your rights is infinitely worse. If you're a public intellectual, and more importantly, if you have money, I just can't imagine the flack getting to me. I just fucking can't. But I do think, I'm not gonna pull up the clip, but there was one of the most intellectual and important historical documentation of behavior learning about other people's groups that I'm sure you can all find. Just type into Google, can you lend, or a teacher using the N-word, but the quote is, it's a white dude in probably grade school, high school kids, and black kids, white teacher, and they're saying nigga a bunch. And the teacher goes, in the interview, this is like a news story, he goes, well, it's nigga this, nigga that, can you lend a nigga a pencil? And so it's again, widely popular clip, did viral, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. But genuinely fucking hilarious, one, because this is an example of learning context. He's literally learning when people say nigga. And he's like, that's what they trained us to do. And then they go to like the school superintendent and they were like, no, we did not train him to say the N-word. But it's actually fucking richly funny because it's very genuine. It's nothing condescending. If you've made it more to this part of the video, I've already said the nigga word more condescending than this guy does. But can you lend a nigga a pencil? One of the most iconic clips in human history. Go look it up. It's absolutely fucking hilarious. A couple more talking points. So to wrap up, definitely no stories today. But we have a quote from Ben Shapiro. COVID policy is tanking the U.S. economy while the rest of the world opens up. Talking about Meta the $22.3 billion drop. Now, again, anyone wants to qualify a statement of economics, I will just show you where you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't care is the battle cry of the reckless. Ben Shapiro says his kids don't wear masks at school. They turned out fine. Again, play Russian roulette with a gun with 1 million rounds. You're most likely going to be fine. There's just no point to play that game. Bezos' super yacht can't fit under the bridge in Amsterdam, so they might take it down. I would not, if I was Amsterdam, if I was Bezos or Amsterdam, I would just not do this. And I don't care that much about bridges or history even. I do care about history, but monuments don't care. But Bezos' super yacht, you can probably park it somewhere else and take one of the 4 other boats that is attached to your super yacht, or the helicopter, or anything else to get there. So just as a practical standpoint, if I was Jeff Bezos, and again, Jeff Bezos is fucking poor, I would just be less selfish. Like, I'm sure you can park your yacht somewhere else and fly into Amsterdam for the 48 hours you're going to stay there before you set sail again. So even I would reject the money if I was Amsterdam. Like, I don't, just on principle, this just sounds fucking ridiculous to me. Not because Bezos is super rich, not because Amsterdam, because I think monuments are super important, but just like, it's like, do I want to pay $1 million to drive to get an Uber, or do I just drive my own car for 5 minutes? It's like, I'm probably just going to drive my own car even if I have $1 trillion. It just seems kind of reasonable. It seems kind of fucking stupid. Last talking point, there was another shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I forget the kid's name's Amir, man's name was Amir something. But he was shot by police and killed. He was sitting on the couch. Again, I watched the video several times. Thought this was, again, as a judicial person, as a law person, this was actually kind of interesting. I think just not interesting, unfortunate. But dude sitting on the couch, sleeping on the couch. The police execute a no-knock warrant for somebody. Dude has a gun, doesn't necessarily point it at him. In a split second, the police see the gun, shoot and kill him. If I'm the guy, if I'm Amir or his family, and I'm sitting on a couch, even if I'm not, again, like Ohio just dropped, you don't have to have I don't know if they dropped it yet, but like, you don't have to have a concealed carry permit. And again, I don't know the laws in Minnesota, but if I was the guy sleeping on a couch, even if the gun wasn't legal, that's not a death sentence or an execution warrant at all. But if I'm the police at the same time, I go in there, the split second, again, I've said myself, again, a guy charging him with a knife, I would shoot to wound, gun versus gun, whether you're police versus police, police versus citizen, citizen versus citizen, I'm going to be shooting first if someone points a gun at me, for real. So, and I don't think that is for or against police. No-knock warrants. Really depends on how much of an imminent threat they pose to the public safety, and in most times I would say against public or no-knock warrants just in general, meaning do you have someone saying they're going to go blow up a school right now, they clearly have weapons, then maybe a no-knock warrant may be applicable. Again, there'd be, again, maybe not somebody's going to say they're going to go shoot up a school, but like you have information. I'm assuming if a criminal, there would be no potential for a no-knock warrant if someone was saying they were going to be violent publicly. But again, maybe like tipping off for terrorism or stuff like that, your average even gangbanger, just wait outside. Use some police resources and wait till you get the fucking guy moving around where you can arrest him. But like I said, I would not be happy if I was the family or the Amir, the guy that got murdered or shot. Again, I just don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and condemn police over this one over protocol for this one. Really just, to me, unfortunate, shitty scenario. So I'll see if there any more information comes out about that, but pretty neutral, and it just sucks for fucking everybody on that one. So that's what I have for today. There was no real comment, but the Miss USA jumped off the building. The coroner ruled her cause of death was suicide. I mean, pretty obvious if you launch off a building. You're not trying to be rude, but. And no, I don't think if people kill themselves, just say they killed themselves. Like, don't be like polite, like they passed away. It's like, no, they hated themselves, or they were in a place where they just launched off a building. Again, stop censoring human experience because you don't like the way it sounds. So that's what I have for today of Language, Litigation, and Integration Part 94, PBD and Peterson. Thanks for watching.